हरे कृष्णा प्रभु जी।
Hare Krishna, he will be there in 5 minutes. Just wait.
हरे कृष्णा माता जी, दंडवत प्रणाम।
Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam. He just completed the class. Ayya, Manju Mataji, Hare Krishna.
हरे कृष्ण माता जी, दंडवत प्रणाम।
हरे कृष्णा माताजी। सब आफ्टरनून क्लास के लोग इधर है। हैप्पी टू सी यू ऑल हियर।
आज हमारा क्लास नहीं हुआ ना, इसलिए इधर आ गए हम।
जी माताजी, आप इधर अटेंड कीजिए आज। अरे बोल, वो आ जाएंगे एक जस्ट 2 मिनट।
Hare Krishna. Sorry for being late.
हरे कृष्णा प्रभु।
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी, दंडवत प्रणाम।
हरे कृष्णा प्रभु जी।
Hare Krishna. So, we'll start with prayers. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Juta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha Namaum Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Nitinamine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratvishe Namaha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधार श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna. So welcome all of you for today evening's discussion on the Srimad
हरे
Bhagavatam.
कृष्णा प्रभु जी, दंडवत प्रणाम।
Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam. So, just a second. Okay, so yesterday we have seen the first chapter of the Bhagavatam. Now we are going to enter into the second chapter. But before entering, I would like to say something that, like Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam doesn't have a specific root or connection or like that. Bhagavad Gita had a particular goal that, Krishna wanted Arjuna to get into uh, right understanding about fighting. So that's why that was the goal. But in the first chapter itself, we study that this Bhagavatam is especially for relishing. So although that connection is there, you will find a story behind or a link behind everything. But the main motive of Bhagavatam is to so that you can just relish. Sometimes you drink a fruit juice or you eat something. You feel very nice, right? You feel you relish it. Like that, we just relish Bhagavatam. There is no particular from one angle if we say, but Bhagavatam uplifts us, and it takes us nearer to Krishna. That goal is always there throughout the link here. So that's why sometimes even between chapters, sometimes we find the link, but sometimes we may not find the link. So where it is taking us, uh, but you understand that while studying Bhagavatam, we feel happy, we feel nice, we are in connection with the Lord, and that is enough for us. So just keep hearing. That's all. Shravanam and Kirtanam has to be released. So this releasing part of Bhagavatam is very important to understand. Otherwise, if we just study Bhagavatam from a scholarly point of view, or to find some information or to find some technicalities in it, we will not be very happy. But just be happy that we are reading about the Lord and we are getting to know Lord more and more. Just like we give this example again that uh, when a boy and girl in this world, they try to get to know each other. Hmm? Their whole consciousness, their whole chitta is engaged. That what other person likes, hmm, what the other person may be doing, what he or she may be liking. So like that, we when we want to know about the Lord more and more, that relationship with the Lord is developed. So anyway, I just gave this background because even if we are not understanding the connection between some things, we understand that we are happy just by hearing it. Okay, now we'll go into the second chapter of Bhagavatam. For today, we will discuss the 11. We will discuss the first 11 shlokas here. Absolute truth, till the point of absolute truth. I'll share the screen. I think you're able to see. So again, we will daily read this as a first sentence. If we read Srimad Bhagavatam, then immediately we will realize God. This is a very important statement that we will read every day before discussing Bhagavatam. Okay. So if we all remember what happened in the last chapter, we will see that Suta Goswami has entered the scene and all the sages are happy that he came and they are offering him a very nice seat. They glorified him and they spoke very nice words of him and they asked some questions. So they asked 6 questions to Suta Goswami. So what are the 6 questions? The first thing they asked is, what is the essence of all the scriptures, or what is actually good for the people in general? What is the ultimate good for people in general? Second question they ask is, what is the essence of all the scriptures? What is the essence of all the scriptures? Third question they ask is, why Krishna appeared? Why the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, appeared from the womb of Devaki? The fourth they ask is, uh, please tell us something about Lord in relationship with this material world. And fifth question they ask is, please tell us about incarnations of the Lord. And sixth they ask, where did the principles of dharma go after the Lord left this planet? So after hearing these questions, actually Suta Goswami became very happy. And he tries to answer these questions. So in the second chapter, we will get answers to the 4 questions that the sages have told. Sages have asked. So these are very important. The second chapter actually is very important chapter. The shlokas, every shloka is worth memorizing. And yesterday, as we thought that we will mark out the important shlokas, so we will do that today. So whenever we say it's an important shloka, maybe we can mark it out. So this chapter has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sections. Okay. The chapter has 6 sections, and we will go through each section. Today we will be covering the first section and a part of second section. Only till the 11th verse we will cover today, because each purport is very important that we go through the purport also. I thought we will read the purport today and see the verse. So the first section starts with Suta Goswami's reply. Okay, this verse number, verse number 1 to 7. Okay. So Suta Goswami's reply, what does Suta Goswami say? We will see the verse here. Vyasa Uva. Okay, this is second canto, sorry. Oh, second verse, okay. Vyasa Uvacha iti samprashna samhrishto viprānam raumaharshanaihi प्रतिपूज्यवतस्तेषां प्रवक्तुम् उपचक्रमे. Sri Vyasadeva said, Ugrashrava, the son of Romaharshana, being fully satisfied by the perfect questions of Brahmanas, thanked them and thus attempted to reply. Sometimes, I remember reading Bhagavatam as, a serial, one episode, second episode, third episode. Because each episode, although has a little story in it, they expand it like anything. One person is going from one shop to another, they show for 5 minutes. So, in the first chapter, the story part was only this much, that Suta Goswami came and all the sages respected him and they asked some questions. This was the only story part. But we expanded it to such an extent, 23 shlokas we read about it. And now he's answering 4 out of the 2 questions, and we are expanding that into 34 shlokas again. So sometimes I get that analogy or comparison, but actually it's not like that. They are in serials and all, it is very, what you say, the material subjects are there, but in Bhagavatam, each question, each answer that he gives and each thing that we study is very important. Son of Romaharshana, being fully satisfied, he started to answer the questions. Okay. Suta uvacha yam pravrajantamanupeeta apeta krityam dvaipayano virahakatara ajuhava putreti tanmayataya taravobhinedus tam sarvabhuta hridayam munimanatosmi. Sri Suta Goswami said, let me offer my respectful obeisances unto the great sage Sukadeva Goswami, who can enter the hearts of all. When he went away to take up the renounced order of life, leaving home without undergoing reformation by the sacred thread or the ceremonies observed by higher caste. His father, Vyasadeva, fearing separation from him, cried out, "O my son, indeed only the trees which were absorbed in the same feelings of separation echoed in response to the bereaved father." So this shloka or this translation we will understand more when we see the story of Sukadeva Goswami's birth and how he left home, and all that story is separately there in the third or fourth chapter that comes there. But for now, we can understand that as soon as Sukadeva Goswami was born, he was born directly as a 16-year-old boy, and he went directly into the forest because he was already self-realized. He told, "I don't want to get into any of this material affairs," and he went to the forest. He started running. As the father's emotions, they get hurt as soon as the son is born. If he leaves like that, father feels very bad. So he started going behind Sukadeva Goswami and says, "Oh my son, please come back. Let us do some samskaras for you. As parents, we have some responsibilities. Let us take care of them. Let us do some samskaras." But Sukadeva Goswami was beyond all these things. So in the purport, actually, Prabhupada explains this point. What are samskaras, and why do our pujas and all what we see in home? Let us have some discussion here. So there are many pujas and the samskaras. There are 16 samskaras actually. The 16th samskara is Antyeshti, that is done at the time of death. But from the time of birth, even before the birth take place of the child, the samskaras start. There are 15 samskaras, leaving out the Antyeshti. Marriage is the 15th samskara. That is the last. And the first samskara is called Garbhadana samskara. Even before the child is born, the parents undergo this Garbhadana samskar before conceiving the child. And after that, the child, the fetus in the womb, it develops for some extent, and they do Simanta samskar for the lady who is bearing the child. And after that, the child is born, there is immediately Jata Karma samskar, which removes the inauspiciousness of birth. Even birth is sometimes inauspicious, considered inauspicious, because we are bringing our karmas with us. So this, because we are bringing all these karmas which are good and bad all together, it becomes contaminated. So Jata Karma samskar is there. After that, many samskaras follow, like the first cutting of the hair, Chaula samskar we call it, and the ear boring samskara. Then one most important one comes is Upanayan samskar. So the Upanayana samskar is done to give a child right to study the Vedas, or right to gain knowledge, or like that. He goes to the Gurukul and studies under a spiritual master. The beginning of education is done with Upanayana. Once this Upanayana is done, he studies under the Guru for a long time. And after that, when he, you are all able to hear me? Okay. So after passing through the Gurukul for quite a good amount of time, he uh, he can choose either to get married or to remain like that as a brahmachari in the Guru's ashram. So once he gets married, in between marriage and the birth, there are 15 samskaras, and the 16th is Antyeshti. That's all. So these samskaras are very important for bringing right kind of impressions. Samskaras means impressions actually. So if we don't give our children right kind of impressions, you know, we cannot maintain sanctity in the society. That's why great sages, all the literatures, they speak about all these samskaras. But the problem in today's age is these samskaras are not being performed, starting from Garbhadhan samskar. Garbhadhan samskar, many parents are not doing. What does Garbhadhan samskar mean actually? Garbhadhan samskar means we appeal to the Lord that the child who is coming, please let him be a devotee of you. Let him be very pious. Let him be very good hearted. If the parents themselves are devotees of the Lord, they can have that right consciousness while conceiving. If only for some sense pleasure the conception is done, then the the child who is going to come, he is also of will be of that nature. So the consciousness of the couple is very important. There is one beautiful example in Bhagavatam for this. The story comes of Kashyapa Muni and Diti. So Kashyapa Muni and Diti, they were wife and husband, and Diti approached Kashyapa at a wrong time. That was the Sandhya time, the junction between the two parts of the day. In the evening time, so Kashyap Muni said, no, this is not the right time. But because Diti was forcing him, Kashyap Muni had to unite with her, and they, because of that, Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha were born. So it is said that in that Sandhya time, Lord Shiva takes his all anucharas, ghosts and goblins, and he keeps moving in the moving around, because these ghosts and goblins, they are looking for some body to get into, and whoever unites at that time, actually these ghosts enter into the soul who is entering into the body womb of that mother. So Diti approached at wrong time. Kashyap Muni immediately told that we have done the wrong thing. Immediately the santan or the progeny that is going to come will be very demoniac. They will be the cause of destruction for the whole world. So the Garbhadana samskara is very important, and one, if he knows the proper signs, he can actually bring out very good devotees, very pious souls into the world. So this science is lost, this knowledge is lost. Just knowing importance of one samskar actually gives us such nice knowledge that we sometimes fear to do wrong things again. So that this is about Garbhadan samskar. Then each samskar is very important. It has a huge amount of explanation, and the procedure which is done in performing the samskar also has a great science behind it. You know, during Garbhadan samskar, Guru is worshipped. And sorry, in between Simanta and Garbhadan, there is one more samskar called Pumsavana. This Pumsavana samskar is done for people who are desiring a male child. Now, why male child? Why not only female child? We are not going into that discussion now. But people who desire a male child, this Pumsavana samskar is done. It is very scientific. Now you see, when the baby is in for 9 months in the womb of the mother, each month is lorded over by each graha. We have 9 grahas, 9 planets. Ravi, Chandra, Surya, that's Ravi, Surya, Chandra, Mangala, Buddha,
Rahu,
Guru,
Ketu.
Rahu and Ketu. So 9, Rahu and Ketu, they don't govern one of any of the months. So
Okay.
Guru repeats twice, and the one more planet repeats twice. So each planet, they take one month. So in the 3rd month, actually, Guru is responsible for the masculinity of anything. So in the 3rd month, when we worship Guru Graha, so Vaishnavas, it's a different procedure altogether. We are not talking about that. But in general, when samskaras are performed, how they are done, I'm trying to tell. Okay. So this Guru is responsible for the masculinity of anything. In the 3rd month, Guru is worshipped in a proper way, and there are some mantras actually which can change the gender of the fetus when it is combined with proper Ayurvedic medicines that are mentioned in Charak Samhita. So Charaka has given the formulations which can be combined with mantras, and this procedure is done with the blessings of Guru. So this whole process is so scientific. This is called Pumsavana ceremony. So each samskara has such a big science behind it. But now this whole knowledge is lost. Nobody is interested in these samskaras. And each samskara has a deep effect on the child who is going to be born. When we do Upanayana, when we, for example, when we do Upanayana, the child is told from now onwards, you are accepting your father as a first Guru, and you are going to go to the Gurukul of your guru and you are going to study there. So austerity begins there. He's going to get a set of clothes and he is sent away on that day itself. Now, who is sending their children to Gurukuls? How many of them are ready to send their children to Gurukuls now? So now this austerity nobody wants to take up. Now, how will children learn nice things? The children are the foundation of the society. When it goes on more, the society, now today's children are tomorrow's future, we tell. How the society will develop if we are not following all these things. So the Vedic samskaras are actually very important. But now Prabhupada says one more thing here. The immediate contradiction that we get is the Vaishnavas actually don't need to perform these samskaras, which are so important. Or not samskaras, I would say. Samskaras are very important. They are already liberated. Sukadeva Goswami did not go through. So Sukadeva Goswami did not go through all these samskaras. Why? Now Prabhupada gives that reason. Yeah. Please keep yourself muted for some time. Yes. I'll share the screen. Sorry, you're not able to see. No? So there is a shloka actually. Janmana jayate shudra samskarat bhavet dvija veda patiti iti vipraha brahma janati iti brahmana. So this is the hierarchy in which an ordinary person elevates himself to the stage of brahmana. So brahmanas generally performed all these samskaras. That's why here the brahmana word is used. They had this knowledge how important all these things were. So Prabhupada is telling here, generally a man is born as an ordinary being and by the purificatory process. So purificatory process means what we discussed just now. He is born for the second time. Samskarat bhavet dvija. When we perform samskara, he becomes a dvija. He gets a new birth. Otherwise, see, when we again speak about Brahmana, Vaishya, Kshatriya, Shudra, don't consider the caste system that is prevailing now. So it's completely different. It's already we discussed this in Bhagavad Gita also. So he gets a second birth. Now what this second birth means? Dvija means ja means janma, dvi means second. Second birth is to actually realize the soul. First birth we get from mother and father. Second birth we get through guru. If this second birth doesn't happen, the first birth is of no use. So samskaras are so important. When he sees a new light and seeks new direction for spiritual progress, he approaches a spiritual master for instruction in Vedas. The spiritual master accepts only the sincere inquirer as his disciple and gives him the sacred thread. So that sacred thread which we have, that is the symbol that he has gone through samskaras. Nowadays, everybody wears the sacred, even he doesn't know why he is wearing that. Only because it is coming through his family tradition, we have to wear, that's why we are wearing. There is a deep reason behind it. In this way, a man becomes twice born or dvija. After qualifying as a dvija, one may study Vedas, and after becoming well versed in the Vedas, he becomes a vipra. Veda patati iti vipraha. A vipra or a qualified brahmana thus realizes the absolute and make further progress in spiritual life until he reaches the Vaishnava stage. So, Brahma janati iti brahmana. So this brahmana means, the word brahmana is explained, Brahma janati, who knows what is Brahman. So the Brahman word can be said either for the soul or for the Lord. Lord is also Brahman, but he is Parabrahman. We are only Brahman. So this Vaishnava stage is the fourth stage actually, which is higher than the Brahmana. See, here he says the Vaishnava stage is postgraduate status of a Brahmana. A progressive Brahmana must necessarily become a Vaishnava, for a Vaishnava is self-realized, learned Brahmana. Srila Sukadeva Goswami was a Vaishnava from the beginning. Therefore, there was no need for him to undergo all the processes of Varnashrama institution. Ultimately, the aim of Varnashram Dharma is to turn a crude man into pure devotee of the Lord or a Vaishnava. Now you understand why this caste system was there? Please excuse me for a moment. So now we understand why the caste system was there, so that whatever position a person was in, he can ultimately turn a crude man into pure devotee of the Lord, a Vaishnava. Anyone, therefore, who becomes a Vaishnava accepted by the first class Vaishnava or Uttamadhikari Vaishnava is already considered a Brahmana, regardless of his birth due to his past deeds. It is like this, no? Once one has done post graduation, the first standard students in the school, second standard syllabus, third standard syllabus, how much does it matter to a PhD candidate? Correct, no? Somebody has done a double PhD in, let us say, uh, whatever subject, laser optics. Let us say laser optics. So if somebody has done a double PhD in laser optics, will he study the topic which we get in 9th and 10th standard? No, we have a topic light, reflection, refraction. Little we study. So for him, those things are nothing. Like that, a Vaishnava is a PhD, double PhD person who has gone through all these things before only in his so many previous lives or whatever, even if he did not go through in any of the lifetimes, because he surrendered to the Lord, that's all. For him, all the remaining samskaras are like those fourth standard, fifth standard things. All those samskaras are already in him. So this statement is very important. How does one get the status of that Vaishnava status? Anyone, therefore, who becomes a Vaishnava accepted by the first class Vaishnava or Uttamadhikari Vaishnava is already considered a Brahmana, regardless of his birth to his past deeds. So one has to be accepted by a pure devotee. Then only one can get into the line of Vaishnavas. So he gives the example of Srila Haridas Thakur, who was born Mohammedan, but he was accepted by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So in conclusion, Srila Sukadeva Goswami was a born Vaishnava and therefore Brahmanism was included in him. He did not have to undergo any ceremonies. So now this whole point came because he was glorifying, Suta Goswami was just glorifying his spiritual master Sukadeva Goswami, that he was such a great personality that even from his birth he was a pure devotee. He need not undergo any of the samskaras which are considered the prime important factor of building a society. The society cannot stand, it cannot become happy without the samskaras. But even such important samskaras can be uh, crossed away by Sukadeva Goswami, such a great personality he was. So that was a glorification that he gave. So now, now next few verses till the 7th verse, he only glorifies Sukadeva Goswami and he glorifies Vyasdev. Now after glorifying the son, he glorifies the father. Vyasa is the father of Sukadeva Goswami. Now let us see what he says. यस्वानुभावमखिल श्रुतिसारमेकम् अध्यात्मदीपमतितितीर्षतां तमोन्धं संसारिणां करुणया पुराणगुह्यं तं व्याससूनुपयामि गुरुं मुनीनाम्. Let me offer respectful obeisances to him. Okay, here also he is glorifying Sukadeva Goswami, the spiritual master of the sages, the son of Vyasadev, who out of his great compassion for those gross materialists who struggle to cross over the darkest regions of material existence, spoke this most confidential supplement to the cream of Vedic knowledge after having personally assimilated it by experience. So here many short things have come. The cream of Vedic knowledge and the darkest regions of material existence. So these are some topics we can discuss upon. So in the purport, Prabhupada discusses these two topics extensively. He discusses about darkest regions of material existence here, and he discusses about the cream of Vedic knowledge. So what are these two things we will see here? In this prayer, Srila Sutta Goswami practically summarizes the complete introduction to Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam is the natural supplementary commentary on the Vedanta Sutras. Vedanta Sutras or the Brahma Sutras were compiled by Vyasadeva with a viewpoint to presenting just the cream of Vedic knowledge. Now, to understand what are Brahma Sutras, we'll discuss a little bit background about that. So, uh, you know, there are 6 systems of philosophy in the Vedas. They are called Shed Darshanas. One is the first one is Nyaya. Second comes is Vaisheshika. Third is Sankhya. Fourth is Yoga. And fifth is Purva Mimamsa. And sixth is Uttara Mimamsa. So there were sages who propounded or founded or not founded actually, it's propounded. The word propounded means one made it famous, or they after designing it they made it famous. Maybe we can say like that. So these were the sages. There were sages who wrote these six systems of philosophy. They are in progression, and they are written for realizing what are we, who are we, what is this material world, who is Lord, and all these topics are very nicely covered in that 6 Shed Darshanas, what we call the 6 darshans of the Vedas. So, what do Vedas actually speak? They are mentioned in the 6 darshanas. So, the 6th darshana is called Uttara Mimamsa, which is the conclusion of the Vedic literature. The whole Vedic literature which we hear, the 4 Vedas and the 18 Puranas, Upanishads, and the Itihasas, everything. The Uttara Mimamsa is the conclusion of that, which is in the form of, all these are in the form of sutras. Sutras is like formula. Sutras are the formulas which we say now. A square plus B square is equal to plus 2AB is equal to A plus B whole square. This is a formula. Like that, spiritual truths are given in terms of formulas. So one formula of spiritual truth is Atatho Brahma Jignasa. This is one formula. So what is Atato Brahma Jignasa? That means now that you have taken birth as a human being, you try to understand what is spiritual life, who are you. So there is a great explanation behind it. It's not only that the explanation is given like this. There is a big commentary behind it. So these formulas which are present in the Uttara Mimamsa, the last of the 6 darshanas, the Uttara Mimamsa also has 2 more names or some more names. The 2 very famous names are Vedanta Sutra and Brahma Sutra. So the Uttara Mimamsa is also called as Vedanta Sutra and Brahma Sutra. So Vedanta Sutras, the sutra means formula. The sutras which are there, they are the conclusion. Vedanta Sutras, which are the conclusion of the Vedas. Because people want the conclusion, so there are many acharyas. Every sampradaya has to have a commentary of Vedanta Sutra, then only it is bona fide. Like Shankaracharya's commentary is called Sharirika Bhashya. And Ramanujacharya's commentary on Vedanta Sutra is called Sri Bhashya. Madhvacharya's commentary is also there. And the Gaudiya Vaishnava's commentary on Vedanta Sutra is called Govinda Bhashya. Like that, every sampradaya has written a commentary on the conclusion of the Vedas. But the beautiful thing here is Vyasadeva, who is the compiler of the last Uttara Mimamsa, which is also the Vedanta Sutra, he himself wrote a commentary. Now, for example, if I made the formula, why I should explain the formula? Because I already know the formula. Correct? No. So I only made the formula. Suppose I made pulao rice. Suppose I had cook and I made pulao rice. Now I know how I made pulao rice. Why I will write down for my reference how I made the pulao rice? Because the knowledge is already there with me. But Vyasdev wrote it down, a commentary to the Vedanta Sutras, so that other people should not exploit the Vedanta Sutras and derive a different meaning out of it. So the Vyasdev's natural commentary on the Vedanta Sutras is Srimad Bhagavatam. So Srimad Bhagavatam is a explanation of those Vedanta Sutras which we get as a conclusion of all the Vedic literatures. That's why we many times say, it's not that we like Bhagavatam and we say, oh, Bhagavatam is very great, we want to study it, oh, it's so nice. No, it's not because we like Bhagavatam. There is a science behind it, there is a story behind it. That the Vedanta, the conclusion of the Vedas, that is Uttara Mimamsa, the commentary to that is Bhagavatam. That's why we say Bhagavatam is a conclusion of all the Vedic literatures. You don't need to study any other literature. So why I spoke all these things? Because here in the shloka it is said, that the cream of Vedic knowledge. Now we understand what is the cream of Vedic knowledge. The Vedanta Sutras and the Srimad Bhagavatam is the cream of Vedic knowledge. He spoke, Sukadeva Goswami, after hearing from Veda Vyasa, he spoke this cream of Vedic knowledge. After not only hearing, after having personally assimilated it by experience. So hearing is one thing, but experiencing it is another thing. After experience, people will never forget. So I'll tell you a funny story which happened in reality with me. I just remembered because experience is such a great teacher. There was one of my friend who always wanted to learn driving. He always was behind me because he likes driving so much, car driving. He likes car driving so much. Whenever he sees somebody driving car, he's when will I drive car? When will I drive car? He was so behind me. Please teach me car driving. Please teach me. But okay, I'll teach you. Don't worry. But he was how it is. He was not mature enough. He was not. He could not have handled the car very nicely. So I told, okay, you wait for some time. So one day he was really behind me, and he said, okay. I told, I'll give you. You drive. I told him all the basics of car driving, and I said, okay, slowly, you do it. And we were practicing in one small gully, and slowly we went onto the road. And as soon as that was night 11:30, because that day it became late, and I thought, okay, anyway we are going home, so now you drive for some time. I'll teach you. So he took the car in his hand. Slowly he was moving. There was a divider junction. We had to take a U-turn. We took the U-turn like this, and straight away he took the U-turn and he increased the speed and he was going. So one vehicle came from the opposite and one vehicle came from the behind. At a time he missed two vehicles, which were just missed by an inch by us. There would have been a big accident. Night 11:30 it was. So somehow by God's grace we missed the accident. We did not get hurt and we were safe. After that, he said, Prabhu, I never want to drive in my life. After that, he said, I never want to drive in my life. At least for next 2 years, I will not drive. After that, I will see what happens. So experience is such a great teacher that you will immediately realize why we are telling. I told him many times, Baba, you are not ready for driving. He did not listen. He said, no, I want to drive. Okay, you drive. You'll understand. So why I told this point? Because here the word experience has come. Assimilated it by experience. Once one who has
Krishna
realized,
Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhu, how do you know that person, or if any person is ready for the learning the driving, or I mean, for anything, for that matter? You said that person was not ready for driving.
Yeah, people who know driving, they only can know whether the person is ready for driving or not. We can easily know a person according to his maturity, according to the way he is. I don't know. I can at least make out a person. That's how it works. If we are already experienced in that matter, we will definitely know. Suppose if we are teacher, we are teaching 5th standard, and we have our students. We know how the student will perform. Many times we can guess actually based on the intelligence of the student. Approximately guess the think how much he will perform. So that's the beauty. The spiritual master can understand the disciple like that only, because he has already gone through it. Because I went through driving classes, I know how it is and how we should learn driving. I went through those classes. So when a person little bit starts driving, we can immediately tell him that no, you're not ready for it. Wait for some time. The grasping power also we can understand immediately. Some people are really quick. One of my uncle, my father took him for driving lesson, and while going, my father was driving. While coming, my uncle was driving. Can you imagine? He was so quick. Some people are like that, but some people you cannot teach them so easily. Not only in case of driving, in any subject matter, it's like that. Yeah, especially in spiritual matters, because if the spiritual master is quite learned and experienced, he can teach the disciple very quickly, provided the disciple is also enoughly intelligent. So that combination has to be there, sync, the synergy has to be there. Anyway, I think we could cover only 3 shlokas today. Bhagavatam is like this only; it will never end. I think we didn't even complete the 3rd shloka purport, but I felt this was
No problem,
important.
we can go. No problem. You are there now. We can continue.
Prabhuji.
Prabhu, I want to ask you one more question.
Yes,
When
Mataji.
we were reading, when we were given classes of Bhagavad Gita, we were told that if we read Bhagavad Gita, that's more than enough for it. It's like reading all the scriptures or Vedic literature, whatever it is. I mean, like all the auspicious books, I mean to say. So now we are saying again, when we are reading Bhagavatam,
Correct.
that is the last one, and again, so I mean, like it's like a bit confusion. I mean, like
No confusion in this. Bhagavad Gita in itself is sufficient for us to realize Krishna. And Bhagavatam in itself is sufficient to realize Krishna. Getting now, both are sufficient. Like 50 ml glass is also full with water. We say that is also full. 100 ml glass is also full with water. We say that also full. So both are full. Maybe this has more information, that has less information, but both are enoughly full to make us realize Krishna.
Prabhuji, Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, I was actually disconnected. My doubt is that in the 2nd chapter of Bhagavatam, till which verse did we read?
We read only 3rd verse, till 3rd verse. We read.
Okay, Prabhuji, thank you. And my second doubt is that can you share the chapter 1 and chapter 2 PPT in the group? And those you were telling those samskaras list.
Yes. So actually, I was little busy today. I could not share the PPT. Yesterday, 1st chapter PPT also I could not share. So today I'll maybe today night or tomorrow morning I'll share the PPT till the 2nd
Okay,
chapter.
Prabhuji, thank you, Hare Krishna.
Prabhu, I think here is a good example of bad student and good student. The the child who spoke now is a good student, seriously. And I myself am a bad student. I can tell you that now.
And, he's very nice student.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Prabhuji, actually, I have one doubt. When I had put the story of Bhagavad Sandesha on my WhatsApp, so lots of friend of mine came up with this question that what is the difference between Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam? People generally understand that Bhagavatam and Srimad Bhagavatam are the same book. So I told that you are wrong. They are 2 different books. But then the next question comes like, what is the difference in the matter of both? So that I couldn't answer, Prabhuji, because I don't know actually what is in Bhagavatam. I told them I will ask Prabhuji and I will let you know. So Prabhuji, can you please give me this answer so that I can ask them and tell them, my friends?
So,
Prabhu, can I tell this
also,
in few words? The same question, answer.
yes, Mataji.
I'll just try, just correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
I think Bhagavad Gita is a book where it makes a person to learn how to live the life. And Bhagavatam is a book wherein it's a life story of the Sri Krishna. I mean,
Yeah, in one angle or at one level that is right, but at another level, actually, Gita gives us a more information about our relationship with Krishna. So we learn about a lot the basics actually. Who are we, and who is Krishna, who is Supreme Personality of Godhead, who are demigods, and it's like introductory course to spiritual life. It gives basic information about spiritual life, and it is more of relationship between different things. So that is Bhagavad Gita. But when it comes to Bhagavatam, it is already we have understood. It's understood that we have that basic understanding of relationship between different things, and now Bhagavatam teaches us the process of reaching Krishna in more detail. In Bhagavad Gita, the process of reaching Krishna was told very in Sankshipt, means in a gist. It is told very little in it. Directly, Krishna told Patram Puspam Phalam Toyam Yome Bhakta Prayachati. With love and devotion, you offer me. And I told Manmana Bhavat Bhakto Madhyaji Mam Namaskuru. So like this, in small snippets, he has told how to become his devotee. But how exactly to do it? There is a lot of procedure in that, how to clean our heart, and how does Lord help us. There are examples of different, all the stories which we find in Bhagavatam are examples of great people who have become devotees from their normal life. So through those examples, actually, Bhagavatam teaches us the process of how to approach the Lord in great detail. So in conclusion, Bhagavad Gita teaches us about our relationship with the Lord, and Bhagavatam teaches us about process of approaching the Lord. And also the third part, which is the prayojan, or after developing a relationship with the Lord, suppose you went through the process and successfully we have reached the Lord, what experience you get, that also is stated in Bhagavatam.
Namaskar,
Okay, Prabhuji.
Guruji.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hello.
Thank you. Hare
And
Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Guruji. Guruji, I have one question. The course which we have completed, the first course. So,
Yeah.
when we will get a certificate of that course? That
Yeah,
first.
yeah. And fees also is remaining. So, because of this launching this course, we got little busy, but
Yes.
we'll do it. Definitely, we'll do it shortly.
Okay. Okay.
Just let.
Okay. Okay. Okay,
Hare
Guruji. Hare
Krishna,
Krishna.
Prabhu ji.
Hare Krishna.
प्रभु जी हम कहते हैं कि पूरे ब्रह्मांड में मैं सिर्फ भगवान श्री कृष्ण है, तो प्रभु जी हम अपने आप को मैं तो नहीं बुला सकते ना, तो हम अपने आप को हम बुलाएंगे तो अपने आप को ऊंचे दर्जे का मानने लग जाएंगे, तो हमें अपने आप को क्या बुलाना चाहिए?
हम अपने आप को मैं बुलाऊं तो हम क्या बोलते हैं, अहंकार के चक्कर में पड़ जाएंगे, और हम बुलाएंगे तो वो भी एक टाइप का अहंकार, ऊंचे नीचे का, जैसे आप बोल रहे दर्जे के, उसमें पड़ जाएंगे। तो अब क्या बुलाना चाहिए इससे, ये शब्द कहने से तो हम अपने आप को रोक नहीं सकते, पर इस शब्द के पीछे हम अगर अपने चेतना को बदलेंगे तो वो हो सकता है। तो अगर मोस्ट मैं से तो बेहतर है हम, मतलब मैं तो बोलना नहीं चाहिए, हम बोलेंगे तो बहुत अच्छा है, पर ये ऊंचे नीचे का दर्जा जो है हमारे चेतना से अगर हम शुद्धिकरण कर सकें तो वो बेहतर रहेगा। तो हम बोलेंगे तो मैं से तो, मैं बोलने से तो अच्छा है हम बोले।
ओके, थैंक यू प्रभु जी। हरे कृष्णा, धन्यवाद, प्रणाम।
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी, आपने जो बोला 16 संस्कार जो है, तो क्या वो आप हमको जस्ट कोई जिस्ट का नोट्स है क्या, नहीं तो कुछ पीपीटी है, नहीं तो कभी आप आई मीन आपको जैसा लेसन अभी आप बताए 5 से 6, तो उसी तरह कुछ आपके पास है, क्योंकि मैं जानना चाहती हूँ।
Yeah,
पूरा
actually
16 संस्कार.
संस्कार के पीछे हमारा आई फाइंड आउट ए बुक, बट जनरली हम क्यों जानते हैं, क्योंकि हम कुछ कुछ उसमें लगे हुए हैं थोड़ा पढ़े हुए, तो प्रोसीजर्स है सब 16 संस्कार के, बट उसके पीछे साइंस के बारे में बुक एक बार ढूंढना पड़ेगा, because I have a book how to perform those procedures. I know all the procedures how to perform, that is there, but the science behind that, even though we know, whether a dedicated book is there for that or not, we'll have to find out.
I mean, I have a suggestion, Guruji. If at all you didn't find book, but you know nowadays everyone are making some videos like Guru Gopaladas सारा videos जैसा motivational जैसा बताते. आप भी इतना अच्छा बोलते, आप भी एक एक संस्कार का एक एक छोटा छोटा वीडियो. I know you have your hectic, but at least you are seeding this type of generation as we are young generation. Like आपने बोला, like when you want garba dan, so now we are not married. When we are yet to married, then we will be thinking this, अच्छा हमने ऐसा करना है, पूरा संस्कार ऐसा है. तो at least one video at one week, so हमको भी वो संस्कार मिलेगा आपके इसमें, तो हम भी अच्छा, it will become very huge good thing. At least one change from you and from us, it will become a huge change.
Definitely, these all important topics we should know.
Yeah.
And yeah, regarding samskaras, I'll try to find more information.
Thank you, Guruji. Hare Krishna.
हरे कृष्णा प्रभु जी.
Hare Krishna.
प्रभु जी कितने संस्कार हैं और उनके नाम क्या है?
संस्कार तो 16 संस्कार है, और उसमें उपसंस्कार कुछ कुछ रहते हैं, बट मेन जो संस्कार है 16 संस्कार है. उपसंस्कार को हम इधर काउंट नहीं कर रहे हैं, पर उनके नाम में लिस्ट मैं देख के आपको भेजूंगा. ओके, या कल मैं बताऊंगा, कल मेरे को याद दिलवाइए, कल एक बार मैं बताऊंगा. ओके, 16 संस्कारों कल.
और प्रभु जी वो बुक स्टॉल का नंबर?
अच्छा हाँ, बुक स्टॉल का नंबर नहीं बताया ना, मैं भूल गया आज यार. तो
वो ग्रुप में भेज दीजिएगा प्रभु जी प्लीज.
यस, मैं ग्रुप में नहीं, कल एक बार मेरे को पूछिए, मैं भेजता हूँ, क्योंकि ग्रुप में इतने सारे चीज़ आते हैं ना, तो मैं ग्रुप में भी बहुत क्या भेजना है ये याद नहीं रहता है, तो एक बार कल पूछिए, मैं जरूर बताऊंगा आपको. ओके
प्रभु जी मैं माता जी से 3 बजे वाली क्लास में पूछ लूंगी.
ओके, नो प्रॉब्लम, यू कैन आस्क.
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु,
हरे
मुझे और एक डाउट है. Like you said that brahmana, I mean like to what you call exactly, I mean like to become a brahmana means like knowing all that information about what to do, when to do, how to do, right? I mean like proper Vaishnava, like. And but if that is the case, then why this kind of 4 different categories like the Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya and Shudra were were formed in the society, like, because I even heard that Brahman are head and hands are Kshatriyas, Vaishyas are stomach, and I mean like they represent, and legs represent the Shudras. So what is the difference between, again, because you said that becoming Vaishnava is like by birth only you'll get that all the qualities, or if you only perform all the qualities, then that is the proper Brahman. Then what is the difference between these 4 categories and again this kind of Brahmana?
Last part, can you repeat again? What is the difference between?
One kind is like becoming a proper Brahmana is to knowing all the kind of sutras, or what you say that some forms are, I mean some like
formulas,
formula kind of thing, wherein which if the person perform all those things, then only he becomes a proper Vaishnava or proper Brahmana. Then only he'll call a proper Brahmana, right?
Correct.
I'm sorry if I'm wrong. Please correct me if I'm wrong.
Rightly. So
then
now,
if it is said that, then what is those 4 categories? Why are those 4 categories formed? Because in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Lord Krishna says to Arjuna, that you are born as a Kshatriya, so you do your duty. Fighting is your duty, right? For Dharma.
Yeah,
So you do your duty. That means it has come from Sri Krishna also, about these
correct,
4 categories. So what is the
correct.
difference again between that Brahmana and this Brahmana?
No, no difference. What Krishna spoke in Bhagavad Gita, the same thing, the same 4 categories we are using here also. So now the Brahmana, I think what you are saying is about Vaishnava. So this Vaishnava actually, after realizing all the scriptures, he understands that Krishna is supreme. So Brahmana sometimes, even though going through all the scriptures, he may get stuck up at the point that I am spirit soul and I live in this material world, but I have to go beyond this material world. This is the Brahmana level knowledge. Okay. But Vaishnava level knowledge is I know that I am spirit soul. I have to get out of this material world. And there is an additional factor that I am a devotee of Krishna and I have to serve him. So this is a difference between a Brahmana and a Vaishnava. Brahmana gets stuck up with a knowledge of the soul only. But Vaishnava gets complete knowledge that he is soul also, but that soul is also a devotee of the Lord. So this factor of becoming a devotee of the Lord or servant of the Lord may sometimes be absent in Brahmana. That's where he gets stuck up. But when he realizes that factor, he becomes a Vaishnava. Now, why these 4 categories are made? Because every living entity has come at a different time into this material world. Okay, we all did not fall from the spiritual world at a time like this, at the same time. No, we all came at different instances into the material world, and we all have been through different experiences in so many lifetimes, so many different types of karmas we all have. So based on these different types of karmas and incidences and the experiences, the attitude or the mentality, the structure of the subtle body is changed. It doesn't remain the same. The structure of the subtle body for every living entity is different. So the subtle body structure has to be categorized. Now, if you don't categorize the society, everybody will be in their own way. So there is a category that okay, who have this type of nature, you do these works because he want to do those. Nature means what? Now I like gulab jamun. Somebody else may not like gulab jamun. He may like mirchi bhaji. So it is my nature to like gulab jamun, and it is his nature to like mirchi bhaji. So these natures you have to group it down and fit them somewhere. Otherwise, how will you organize a society? So that's why these were made. So group up all the similar kind of mentalities and put them in one channel and organize the society so that it can go peacefully. Now, suppose if we are running a company, in a company there is a CEO and there is a accounts department, there is security department, and there are people who are working. Correct. The CEO is like the brain. He puts the brain and he thinks and he gives the instructions what to do and what not to do. And the security or the security means not the guards who are standing at the gate, but I am telling about the whole structure, the department. They take the responsibility of the protection of the company.
You mean to say software
And
systems and all that? Software security.
yeah,
Yeah.
software company. I'm trying to explain the structure of a software company. And there is an accounts department who give the financial advices. How can we make more money? How can we do these things? And there are people who work uh, on computers or people who work on other things like they sweeping the floor, grooming the floor. There are different categories. So if we don't categorize these people, the CEO will not come tomorrow morning and make jhadu pocha, no? He has a higher responsibility. Now, if you say why CEO is given that nice post,
No, I won't ask that question. But I want to ask you then, who made this fourth
Krishna
category?
says in Chaturvarnam Maya Srishtam. I made this, Krishna says. Chaturvarnam Maya Srishtam Guna Karma Vibhagasa. According to his guna and his karma. Krishna never said according to his birth. Now society says that CEO should come and mop the floor. How it will happen? In normal company only it will not happen. You are expecting in the society that should happen.
Yeah.
So you say, people say you give equal status to everybody. Okay, CEO is getting 2 lakh rupees salary. The person who is mopping the floor and bringing tea in the intervals, you give him also 1 lakh rupees salary. Let there be a classless society. Start from the company itself. So classless society can never take place because it is not practical at all. There has to be division. Even if we say that there should be a classless society, there will exist class. There will be some people of different natures and they have to be categorized.
Correct. That's it. Yes, Prabhu. Seriously, that was really a very good explanation. Thanks a lot for that.
Yeah. Nice. So today we could cover only 3 shlokas, but anyway, we'll go. This is nice.
Prabhuji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
It is also said that Prabhuji, this Bhagavad Gita is at degree level, Bhagavatam
Yes.
is at PG level, and Chaitanya Charitamrita is at PhD level. So it is the same. I mean, the essence is same, but the explanations are more or deeper.
Explanations
So
are more.
that is also said in some context.
Correct.
So that is one of the difference between these three great literature.
That Mataji asked that question. That is one of the difference actually.
Yeah, Prabhuji, thank you. So you gave that example, but I just heard this in many conversations, so I thought I'll just share it.
Yes, thank you, bro.
No, that was actually crystal clear. Really, thanks a lot for Prabhu for again
Thank you.
pitching into that conversation.
Hari. So we'll continue tomorrow again. Okay. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you. Prabhuji.
Thank you.